kills the shame. And if that's out the room, we can roll.
Welcome, everyone, to the Driving Vision podcast brought to you by the Zeigler Auto Group. I'm your host, Sam Dark. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, like it if you do, and leave a comment. Hey, everyone. This week, we bring you an item from the Zeigler Auto Group. We are deeply committed at Zeigler to personal development and training, both for our professional and private lives. This week, we share a message from Tim Terrentine, who regularly trains with our teams at the ZAG. Today, we share this month's topic. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Driving Vision Future of ZAG Today podcast. With us today, Tim Terrentine with Translators Consulting Group. Tim, welcome.
Good to be here with you, Sam, Orion, Mike.
And as always, sidekicks, Mike Van Ryn, VP Training and Development, and Araya Daniels also with Training and Development. Really cool to be here with everybody. The word of the day today and the topic, resilience. Tim, what state of the world requires resilience? What does a world look like that needs resilient people?
Mike, I'm an executive coach, and we've learned to answer questions with questions, and this one's not playing, it's for real. The question is, what doesn't require resilience in 2024? We've got a lot coming at us on every team and every role. At work, away from work, we are bombarded with not only distraction, but really complex challenges. We're trying to figure it out. And that just requires so much energy from us. It requires so much attention and focus that we're going to have to figure out how to draw from a well we're not necessarily able to touch.
Ooh.
Inside of us. And,
I love that.
And so we need to tap in differently when the challenges are different.
We need to be prepared to draw from a well that we don't necessarily oftentimes know how to draw from. Araya, like you think about our employment world, you think about the state of the economy, the state of politics, world news, like it's insane. And we keep saying that, like for an employee of any business, let alone one as competitive as we're in, resilience is important, Araya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I love this topic of conversation. Resilience is something that has continued to come up, not only for our organization, but the industry and just the economy like you're talking about, but even personally, I think for a lot of our team members, I mean, it's such a choice. And I love what Tim is saying because, you know, sometimes we don't know exactly when we need resiliency or how to pull that out. But the more things that you go through, the more resilient you become to even further issues or situations down the road. And I think this is just such an awesome topic to talk about. So look forward to diving into this.
All right. So, Araya, we're going to ask Tim here in just a minute to define resilience in case we get lost in stuff. Nobody knows what we're talking about. But before we do that, Mike Van Ryn, this is something the Zeigler Auto Group's been doing for years now. Why do we have people like Tim Terrentine come in and speak to us and help develop and train? And how long has this been going on for?
Yeah, great question, Sam. Tim has been an integral part of our team and seen as another leader and facet that can bring us information, right, and bring us closer together and help us be strong for ourselves, but also for our team, our culture, and then in essence for our customers. So it's been 10 plus years that Tim and I have been connected, and Tim's been connected with Zeigler and made a huge impact across all of our stores. And we love to see what's coming in the future as well for Tim and for our teams.
And Tim, it seems like quarterly you're out there, you're traveling, you're with our teams, and our teams become stronger as a result. What does it mean to you to be part of the Zeigler team working with us and developing leadership skills across the group and things like resilience and leadership and getting performing in intense and competitive teams?
It's soul food for me, Sam, in a real way. I mean, it really was a dream of mine to grow up and try to be helpful to people and use my gift. And when I was young, I thought that was with a basketball and a microphone. Little did I know I'd be here in this moment helping people see things differently so that they can be different in what they do every day and how they show up with each other. And when you get to do, and I do mean get to, do, what I do every day, it is a blessing. And I don't call it anything other than that. It's a dream come true for me. And I sit there with all these very busy people talking about life topics that are in the way of us getting stuff done, and to watch people remove the barriers, to hear from them how they're thinking different and trying different, and their teams are coming together different. Sam, my goodness, who could ask for more? What did Harbaugh say? Who's got it better than us? No one.
That's right. It's been neat to see the relationships.
A Harbaugh reference on a weekend when Michigan collapsed at Washington. So,
Lord help us all.
Tim brings up a really good point that I think is a great question to ask here. And, you know, Tim, you're talking about leaning on the strengths that you have to help better serve us, right? Or better serve other organizations out there. And that's to help people. And we ask this kind of question through these workshops on resilience is, how do you help people build resilience? And, you know, Mike had a great point that said, you know, lean into other people's talents and their strengths, like lean in the people around you. And I think immediately of like, Mike is one of Mike's, and I know Mike and I've known Mike for a long time. One of Mike's best talents is he's positive. So he can be really positive in times of situations where perspective might just be skewed and you might see something negatively. And all it takes is just a quick conversation with Mike to say, hey, like we can look at it this way. And that's a mindset, right? That's a choice to be able to make, to look at those things and turn them around into a positive situation. So I think that's such a strong example of what you're sharing, Tim. Like you're utilizing your talents and strengths to do what you love to do, to help people see things differently and teach people. And that's what we do when we're trying to build resiliency, is to lean in those people that have those talents.
Orion, it's like you're a prophet in some ways, because not only does Mike show it, but when we talked about kind of the talents, the strengths, the pillars of resilient people, optimism's one of them. Followed by, self-belief is another major driver, right, of resilient people. And it's not that you're not looking at things realistically, because realistic thinking is one too, but you can be realistic and optimistic at the same time, that even when things look bad.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Resilient people figure out a way to see the positive, to find the points where we can grow from. And the example about what Mike does is a very real example of that at play.
So, Tim, as you think about the characteristics that are involved with someone who is resilient, who demonstrates resilient behavior, let's first talk about, how do you define resilience? What is resilience?
Yeah. Sam, every time we try, every time we give an effort at anything, we have potential for both desirable and undesirable outcomes. Like it could go either way every time we take a swing. Resilience is the idea that either way, we can come through. We can make it to the other side. Simply put, it's how we face, how we recover, and how we bounce forward from challenge. How we face, how we recover, and how we bounce forward. Not just get back where we were after hard times, but be able to find ourselves at a different place forward, moving forward. And I think that's the heart of resilience as it's defined.
Mike, as we talked about this, you reacted to the bounce forward. I'm also reacting to the recover, because truly in moments of resilience, like facing the obstacle as a challenge, acknowledging that there may be a step back as we go through a resilient moment that will require us to recover, and anticipating that and standing and facing that. And then, Mike, you had a cool thought about bounce forward.
Yeah, I think if we look at things that we do naturally, that we're very good at, they're our talents, right? We don't have to think extra hard about doing those things. And those things naturally allow us to be resilient and bounce forward. We just need to know when to tap into those talents, right, Tim? And use them. And then also, like Uriah said, and thanks, Uriah, for the compliment, but I know people on our team that we can go to for different talents, right, when we need them. So I think that's a really important point, Sam, in bouncing forward.
Tim, you talk about this well that we draw from to be resilient. Where do you get that mindset to face, to recover, and to bounce forward in the face of adversity?
Well, I don't know where you get it necessarily. I know where you can build it, right? Because some people just have it. Like, it's like talents, right? That some people are just more resilient naturally, DNA, but then there's lived experiences that also have something to do with how you get it. Like some people just come up tough. They're constantly facing challenges, so they're building that muscle more than others. And even those who say, well, my life's been easy, everything's been cool. Well, you too can access resilience because it's about a mindset, and then it's about the behaviors that follow that mindset. Do you believe you can bounce forward? Do you believe you can get through? And then can you bring what you already have?
So, right? Tim, to that comment, it sort of makes me think about, we've had Navy SEALs that have come and spoken to us as part of the Zeigler speaker series. And they talk about how they implement adversity, difficulty, challenge, hardship, affliction into their daily routine. We've had a guy, Jocko Willnick, we've read a book of his in various classes. He talks about people come to him and say, I'm having a huge challenge right now. And his response sometimes is good. Like, you need that. And Araya, I think of you every morning, as many of us do. You work into your daily routine adversity. That helps you be resilient, Araya, in your workouts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's, working out is one thing that I know I have to start my day with because it's hard. And there's days that I don't want to do it. And I know that if I've conquered that mindset of like going to do the things that are hard and I don't want to do, then the rest of the day seems to move a little bit smoother for me. And it's really apparent on the days that I don't do that. Like my mind and my mood might suffer a little bit more on those days that I choose not to. And so this idea of resiliency comes when you do those hard things and you come out on the other side and realize like, oh, okay, I can do these things. I can get through these. I do have belief in myself. I have built my confidence to know that I can get through whatever it is that I'm faced with. So it's a great metaphor, when you think about fitness to life and resiliency, for sure.
So Tim, fitness is a form of creating and exercising resiliency, no pun intended. What are some other things that employees at Zeigler and other workplaces seeking to increase their resiliency, maybe if it's not natural or second nature, what are some other things folks can do?
Sometimes we're needing resilience, Sam, because we've taken on more than we should. We're trying to control uncontrollables. We've taken on other people's challenges, problems, and issues as opposed to walking with them. We're carrying the bag for them. There's all kind of stuff we take on. So the first thing is the filter. How do I make sure that I stay light and agile and able to move through? Well, here's my filter that I've picked up, and I shared it with some of our auto group already. The first thing I got to ask myself, is it mine? Is it something that belongs to me? Is it something within my locus of control, or is that outcome none of my business, right? Is it outside of what I'm able to do? So is it mine? The second thing is it true? Oftentimes I'm listening to things, I'm believing things that feel right, but it's just not accurate, right? We never reach our goal. Well, really? Is that really the case, or is it just feeling that way on the 21st as we approach the 31st, right? And so the filter, is it even true, or is there more to the story that makes it more true? Is it mine? Is it true? And then the final one is about how I respond. Is it helpful? So in my life, when I'm feeling down, I'm feeling a lot of weight, I'm carrying stuff, I find out, is it mine? Nope. Is it true? Not really. And then how I respond to that, I'm holding myself to a standard to actually be helpful and not make things heavier for others by the way I respond. Is it mine? Is it true? Is it helpful? And that filter at the beginning, when I have those meetings, I get that email, I'm getting ready to hit send, I go, is this one mine? Is it true? Is it helpful? And that helps me stay in the groove, able to tap in. But if I'm overwhelmed, I got to really fight. I got to fight to find. And after a while, that fight gets so heavy, I stop fighting. right, and my goodness, then all the other fruits of negativity sink in and we're in trouble. So that filter is one way that I think is really, really powerful. Mike?
Yeah, that's a good point, Tim. And one of the questions you asked us in the class, Tim, and we can ask it of Sam and Araya, is what will you do in the next 2 weeks just for the joy of it? Joy, just for the joy of it. So we'll go to Araya first, then Sam. So what are you going to do just for the joy of it, Araya?
Just for the joy of it. Just for the joy of it. Oh, man, this is a tough one. I could say so many things, I think. Just for the joy of it. I'm going to take a nice bike ride through the fall leaves on a bike trail. How about that?
So that's something just for the joy of it again. And it's part of healing, right? And part of that self-care, right, Tim? So how about you, Sam?
Right.
You know, I don't want to sound like I'm copying Araya's answers, but I love, like, there are places and times where you find where you get filled up, and on a bike for me is one of those. Definitely, you know, working out. You know, people always flip me crap for the yoga thing, but I find it there and in similar places. Like, there are places somehow nature and movement and discipline intersected is joy. And so I'd agree with Araya on the bike, like a long bike ride. Mark with AM Wellness actually promised, I'm calling Mark out on this. He promised to take me for a bike ride last week, and I haven't seen him yet. So Mark, you and me, century ride, name the day, we're there, and that'll be joy. It'll be pain. Actually, this is interesting though, Tim.
Joy and pain. Oh.
Before the joy comes the pain, and it's a runner's high too. I'm not a huge fan of running, but people talk often about you go through the pain as a runner, and then the high comes.
Sam, you bring up a really good point. And I'm going to relate it back to our business. So I think about, you know, our sales professionals when they're maybe with a customer and they're dealing with objections, and they've got objection after objection coming after them, right? The more that they face those objections, the more pain, I guess you could say, they endure, the more resilient they come out on the other side of, right? And so you could relate that to anything, that you build that resiliency in the face of adversity and pain. I love that.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
What's yours, Tim?
I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to hit Araya's point real quick. You don't resilience is not a given. It's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody don't come out of hard times better.
Mm-hmm.
You have to choose to do that, because it's a lot easier to come out of hard times bitter, blaming, right? And so it's not a given. That's why we're asking people we're inviting folk to change how we see tough times and what we can do about it, right? What I can do about it. And if you see that differently, then you get to make the choice to come out better, to bounce forward. Now, about what I'm going to do, I'm going to smoke a goose. I know y'all say I'm crazy. A friend of mine has a farm, and for some reason, when I was leaving, he gave me a frozen goose. It's been sitting in my freezer for a month. I've never cooked a goose, never ate one, but you better believe he'll be on the smoker in 2 weeks. We're going to figure out how to deal with that goose. And
we'll be looking for our invitations to that dinner.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. This is the trial run, Mike. I don't know if you want this one. We'll see.
But again, there's the adversity, there's the choice to bounce forward, and then there's joy on the other side. And Tim, resonate with what you just said. I have a debate with a friend. Damon West, who is a speaker, talks about how you meet the best version of yourself on the other side of adversity. And I feel like we talk about that ad nauseum. And my friend says, that's BS. Like, you don't necessarily meet the best version of yourself on the other side of adversity. People will go through hard times and they will come out terribly. And to your point, there is a little bit of choice in that, right? You have to choose to face it, to recover, and in your words, to bounce forward. That is the definition of resilience.
Sam, life is near equal parts really great and really sucky. It's like wanting fruit without rain, right? Like we're going to just have tough stuff, and we're going to have it go easy sometimes. That's just life. That's neutral. Everybody has that.
Yeah.
How we respond to it is what makes us stand out.
Yeah.
because calamity is an equal opportunity employer. So is sunshine.
Yeah.
Right? And how we choose to deal with it is up to us.
Yeah. That is so interesting. You talked, Tim, about the power of yet.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to us about the power of yet. I love this concept.
And this one has been a personal blessing to me because sometimes as a business owner, sometimes as a leader in your organization or on your team, the decisions you have to make, the weight that you're carrying, you don't have all the answers, and it doesn't look like things are going to work out some months, some situations, some interactions. But what the power of yet does is invite myself and others to remember this ain't the last day.
Yeah.
Necessarily, that if we're breathing, we got a shot. So yes, we haven't reached our goal on the 20th of the month yet. I don't know how to use that technology yet. I'm not sure I even know what my purpose here is yet. I don't know how I'm going to figure out my manager and what they really want from me yet. And every time we come to that point where distressing emotions and wanting to retreat raises up, all I need is that yet to remind me there's still time to go get it.
Yeah.
Because every time I swing, it could go good or bad. I mean, sunshine and rain. So it's like, no, if I'm living, I still got it yet. And I'm encouraging everybody who's listening today to think about how you can take that really small word and make a big impact on your team. Because there's some folks who got their heads down. The end of the year is coming. They're off pace. They don't know what's coming. Family issues, relationship problems. We bring in the work. We're overweight. We're tired. Whatever the issue is for you, for me, yet can change the game for how I see it. It means I can still get up and go. I can still try again because I have yet.
Yeah. Araya, how do you use the word yet? And then Mike.
Gosh, I heard of this concept a while back, the power of yet, and it's something that I've added to my internal dialogue, and it comes up weekly for me. It's something that, once again, is just a mindset, but it's taken time for me to instill that into my practice. And they always say that you are the person that you talk to the most in your life. So why would you not choose to speak positively about yourself or to build yourself up? So I'm always finding myself, like, if I'm going in the direction of creating something that might be negative, I'll add yet to it. And, that immediately changes just my mind frame and perspective to say, like, okay, I'm capable of this. And maybe not right now, but, that yet gets added. So that's something that I have used and is really powerful because it immediately makes you feel a little bit more confident to know that you can get through whatever trials and tribulations you're going through and come out on the other side. So that's just that resilience factor. I just love that. Love using yet.
Mike, the power of yet.
Yeah, so powerful. For me, professionally, I think about very similar to Tim, that helping nature. And maybe I haven't helped enough people or made big enough impact with our teams across the Zag yet. Personally, it'd be that continuous improvement. And I'm not the best husband that I could be yet. I'm not the best dad I could be yet. So I always want to get better every day. Want to get better.
Inherent in the word yet is hope.
Yeah.
And hope is that choice, Tim.
It is. And it's the shame buster. Shame holds us hostage on this resilience thing, man, because when things don't go right, we're looking at ourselves in the mirror through a negative lens. So I see myself as a failure instead of this situation not working out. And self-belief is the number one driver for resilient people. Is how do I see me? Right? Self-belief. And so yet helps me not only see a future, it helps me see that I got something to do with the future. Yeah. I am not helpless in this situation. I'm not helpless in the solution. I can have impact. And that's huge. Hope kills the shame. And if that's out the room, we can roll.
So as you traveled store to store, many of our stores across the Zag, 2,700 employees, 41 locations, teams gathered in spots, you're talking to car people about resilience.
Yeah.
This is what I love about what you do. Any reactions that kind of crack you up or strike you as fun and interesting, or aha moments where you're like, they got it, right? Like, we've seen so much benefit from you having these conversations store to store in an industry that typically, the people that do really well training in this industry are showmen. They're on social media. They take their shirt off and make people feel shame for not having the abs that they have, right? And you do it in a much more humble way, but the impact is super powerful, I would say. Any interesting reactions that you've seen?
Yeah, in a real way, it's been a near soulful experience this time around, because I think it's clear to me people needed to hear the message.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much time I spent after sessions with folks hanging around.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Just to encourage my soul that they really needed that today.
Yeah.
Well, man, I can't tell you how much one person grabbed my hand and said, "I just want you to know you were sent here for me today."
Mm.
I can't tell you what that does to the inside of my soul.
You powered there yet.
I'm in the right place on the right day with the right people with the right message. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, just overwhelming. I will go in the car to make the next trek to the next spot and have to hold back tears in a real way. And I mean, Mike experienced some of that in the room. Like, people need resilience, and they're tired and they're overwhelmed. And for somebody to come in and remind you of what you can do and who you are and the hope you can muster. Like I said, it's a dream. And there were real reactions, tears and whole works this week. I mean, people needed to hear about resilience.
We almost
That's
remind
awesome.
everyone
Yeah,
that,
it blessed
you're not
me.
alone, right? Like, we
Oh, my
remind
goodness.
everyone that we're all here doing the exact same thing and face a lot of the same challenges, right? So it's nice
Yes.
to know when you don't feel like you're alone, that other people have come out and been good. And you're like, oh, okay, I can get through this too. I think that's cool.
So, Tim, before we have Araya give us a closing comment, and then we'll give Mike the last word. But, Tim, before we do that, how do people get a hold of you? We have a large audience in our external crowd that is probably saying, well, never thought about doing this in the automotive industry. This is crazy. Yeah. And yet you see in the seeds of the culture at Zeigler is so many of the things that you're talking about. And if nobody talks about it, we don't grow in it.
That's right.
So how do people get a hold of you, Tim?
Well, there's really three primary ways we walk with people. One is through learning, like we do with Zeigler Group. We can come in and do these courses on all of the taboo people-related topics. The stuff that's hard, we want to dive right into the middle of it and talk about it and teach.
Yeah.
And then coaching. We coach leaders. We help leaders not be alone and walk through growth and development. And then, of course, we do consulting, right? Strategy, team building sessions, strategic planning, and all that kind of work we do with teams. And you could go to Translators CG, Translators Consulting Group, translators.cg.com. And you can see our services. You can reach out directly to me. We've got e-books you can sign up for, newsletters that we're talking every month about these topics. We'd love to engage with more teams, particularly those in the auto group. You all have a big mission and you got a fast pace, and equipping ourselves is really important, staying on top of that. And like a team Zeigler, you all are growing so fast. My goodness, just trying to keep everybody trained and getting everybody on board. You all are doing a monumental task with your rate and pace of change and growth. So it's just a pleasure to walk with you, and we'd love to talk to others.
Well, we appreciate you, Tim, and all you're doing. And you talk about the big lift. That certainly is a lift undertaken by Araya and by Mike and their entire department. So, Araya, last words, and then Mike, bring us home.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks again to Tim. It's always so refreshing and just so wonderful to feed off of your energy through our workshops. And so we always appreciate your partnership. But there's two things that come to mind when I'm thinking about closing remarks here. And I actually had a personal trainer tell me one time, choose your hard and embrace the suck.
Yeah, I love that.
So when you do those two things, you're setting yourself up, and kind of goes into the power of yet, right? So maybe I'm not where I want to be yet, but I will be if I choose to embrace the suck and come out on the other side and be more resilient. So those are my closing thoughts.
You're here.
A couple of weeks ago, we had a guest speaker come in through Zeigler University guest speaker series, Phil Heath, 7-time Mr. Olympia bodybuilding champion of the world. And the guy was ripped, absolutely huge muscles, right? And felt funny standing next to him. But Tim, I got to tell you, to our listeners out there, that didn't happen overnight, and he had to work for it. And for our listeners, use some of these strategies and you can build your resiliency muscles.
That's right.
Similar to what Phil Heath did. Build those resiliency muscles with these strategies from Tim. As always, Sam, thank you for your leadership. And Araya, Tim, we appreciate you at Team Zeigler. Thanks to all of our listeners out there. Have a great day.
Thank you all.
A special thanks to Tim Terrentine, Mike Van Ryn, and Araya Daniels for contributing to this week's episode. Until next week, how are you driving vision today?